Anxiety.
Anxiety is one of the most common mental health issues, affecting around 300 million people in the world. But have you ever wondered what happens in a brain of someone with anxiety, be it normal anxiety or anxiety disorder? Today I'm here to show you the behind the scenes of anxiety. So I'm going to start off basic here. What is anxiety and what is fear? Fear is a biological response to immediate present danger. Anxiety is an emotion of things that we think may happen. Fear is when you see a snake, while anxiety is the exam you're having soon. According to a study done in 2019, 301 million people were diagnosed with anxiety, while 40 to 50% of the people in Africa were also diagnosed with anxiety during the pandemic. Before we begin to talk about the anxious brain, we are going to talk about the participants of the whole process. So the first one is amygdala. The second one is sensory inputs brought about by the thalamus. The third one is the hypothalamus, and the fourth one is the prefrontal cortex. These four parts of the brain take part in anxiety, in the whole process of anxiety. For instance, when someone sees a tiger, his sensory input notifies the amygdala, which is like an alarm bell. The amygdala then immediately sends response to the hypothalamus, which acts like the control center, which means it lets the body know that we are in danger. This is the fight or flight mode. The body now prepares someone to literally be ready to fight or to flight. Pupils dilate to see clearly. Heart starts to pump the blood faster to go to the whole body. The legs are prepared to run, and maybe the hands are prepared to fight. There is increase in breathing patterns and sweating and so on. All this happens because the hypothalamus is on duty to notify the whole body. After a few moments of total panic, the prefrontal cortex, which is the brains, assesses the situation and realizes that the tiger is on a peg. The tiger has been tethered. I don't know in what world a tiger will be held by a peg, but in this one, it is. So the prefrontal cortex reassures the amygdala that everything is okay and there's nothing to worry about. And then the amygdala tells the hypothalamus the same thing, and everything calms down. But people with anxiety disorders, the prefrontal cortex just goes MIA and does nothing about the whole thing. Therefore, the amygdala keeps telling the hypothalamus that we're in trouble. That is why people with anxiety often have panic attack signs or panic signs longer than people without anxiety disorder. Anxiety often happens with people with past traumas who later on face triggers that cause anxiety attack. Conditioned fear is one of the things that bring about triggers. For instance, there is a dog and a bell which have no relation whatsoever, but the dog is shocked and it naturally shows signs of anxiety every time they shock or every time it is shocked. If a bell which has no trigger to the dog is introduced during shocking over a period of time, the dog becomes sensitive to the bell. Anytime the bell rings, even without the shock, the dog will still portray signs of anxiety. And that is how triggers start. From a very neutral stimuli to a trigger. Every time someone experiences something that they have experienced before and it was traumatic, anything during the traumatic event, even the insignificant small things, may cause trigger to them in the future, causing the anxiety cycle. Fortunately, anxiety is treatable through anxiety drugs, anti-anxiety medication, anti-anxiety drugs, and cognitive behavioral therapy. One of the exercises in the therapy is making new connections and breaking the old connections in the brain, because the brain is about connections and pathways. If the dog is exposed to the bell ringing without the shock, it will eventually, over a period of time, it will eventually learn that the bell is not harmful. So one of the ways to deal with anxiety or anxiety disorders is to slowly expose oneself to their fear. May not work to all fears, but may help with someone's fear at least. Leave a comment on how you deal with your own anxiety.